international experience is one that you've highlighted as being a must. Is that an acknowledgement that the process was wrong in appointing Razor who didn't have international experience?
No, what it is really is an acknowledgement that we're midway through a World Cup cycle, 2 years out from the next World Cup, and we simply don't have time for someone to find their feet in international rugby. We need someone that can hit the ground running and know exactly what they're going into.
You've also highlighted New Zealand coach. Could you just explain why it's important for the coach of the All Blacks to be in New Zealand?
Firstly, this is the All Blacks, and so as a matter of principle, ideally we want a New Zealander coaching that team, but we're also really fortunate in New Zealand. We have an incredible amount of amazing coaches, both coaching here in New Zealand and around the world, so we don't believe at this point in time that we need to go outside of New Zealand candidates.
A lot of chat has been thrown around about, possible coaches. Tony Brown's name's been thrown around. He's obviously come out and said he's staying with the Springboks. How much does that change the picture at all for you guys?
Yeah, well, you're right. Tony's come out and made his position clear, so that's really helpful. One thing I can't do is speak for anyone that might be considering being in this process. We're going through a process. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to speculate about any potential candidates, but obviously they're free to speak on their own behalf, and Tony has.
I'll get you to speculate on another one then.
Yep.
The reports in the Sydney Morning Herald, Joe Schmidt was approached and has said no. Can you talk to that, please?
Well, again, really, I won't speak and can't speak to any potential candidates. It's really up to those people to speak for themselves, so I'll leave that to them.
You said in the release that there'll be a recently retired All Black on the selection panel. Can you just talk us through that? And when you say recent, how recent?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Jamie. So one of the things that we think is critical in any team appointment is that we bring some players' perspective into that. And in the case of the All Blacks environment, it's really important that, A, we have that perspective in the process, and B, that we have a relatively recent perspective. So we're not putting any firm timeline on how recent that person needs to be, but we think it's entirely appropriate that we have someone who's had some recent experience in the team as a player. This is totally standard. We would do this for any team appointment. We did the same when we appointed the Black Ferns head coach just recently.
I just have a question about the assistants. So is it business as usual for them until the head coach gets appointed? Like, what are they doing right now?
Yeah, so absolutely business as usual. For the rest of the management staff, that goes beyond the assistant coaches to the whole management team. Yeah, at this point in time, we've got a vacancy for a head coach, and that's what we're looking to appoint.
And then when the head coach comes in, they will start to make changes they see fit?
Well, that'll be a question for the head coach in discussion with New Zealand Rugby, right? So we're looking to appoint a head coach, and once we've appointed that head coach, then we'll start discussions with them, and we'll make decisions with them about the makeup of their coaching and management group.
Why is no one with coaching experience on the panel?
Well, that's not correct, actually. So we have Don Trecker on the panel. Don's highly experienced, highly successful coach in his own right, won 2 softball world championships with the Black Sox as a coach, and he's spent a lot of time in and around the All Blacks environment alongside and supporting a lot of coaches in a rugby environment. So in fact, we do have coaching experience, and it's relevant experience in the shape of Don.
What's the time frame?
Well, again, we're not going to put a deadline on this, but what I will say is that we're approaching this process with the urgency and care that it demands, and we would hope that this process will be concluded without delay.
Which coaches have you approached?
Again, I can't speak to any potential candidates. As you'll imagine, there'll be a lot of conversations that'll, some will have started. There'll be others that are ongoing, but I'm not going to speak to any individuals.
When you say who will take over as head of high performance?
No, that's also a process that we yet to commence. Right now, we're focusing on the head coach of the All Blacks.
Will the head coach have to put forward their assistants or their likely assistants?
At this point in time, we're simply asking for candidates to apply for the head coach role. We've got a really capable and experienced group that are in place. It is business as usual, to Jamie's comment, and so we'll sit down once we've appointed the head coach, and we'll have a conversation with them about the finalising the makeup of that group.
Are you shoulder tapping, or are you waiting for the applications to roll in?
Again, we're in a process here. I'd love to give you more, but I have to respect the integrity of the process, so I can't speak to that detail.
Are you likely to contract the coach through to the World Cup, or is it likely to be an 18-month or 2-year contract?
Absolutely through to the World Cup. Again, we've got limited runway now through to the World Cup. That has certainly shaped our thinking around the candidate profile, and we'll be making an appointment through to the World Cup.
Steve, does the financial situation of having to sort of let go of so many coaches come into it? Like, is it feasible to go and get a coach from overseas versus one who might already be here?
Yeah, again, this is the All Blacks, and it's critical that we make the right decision, and that is the overarching priority.
Is there a concern that this criteria might be too narrow and close off some coaches who might be qualified for the job?
No, absolutely not. We're very confident that there's a really high calibre group of eligible candidates out there, and that there'll be significant interest in the role.
You spoke about the foreign coaches. Is that always going to be the case, or is that just this time around?
This is a point in time, and one of the things I would say, and particularly when you're in high performance and elite sport, is that what's valid at one point in time doesn't necessarily stay valid indefinitely. So I'm always loath to make predictions about the future, but at this point in time we believe we've got the right criteria for the role.
Does the situation with the assistants have the potential to get a little bit messy? If you've got a group of assistants who at this point in time are going about it as business as usual, we're still all like assistant coaches, and then you have a head coach come in and go, actually I want this person and I don't want this person. Do you know what I mean? Does that have the potential to get a little bit messy going forward?
Well, I mean, and again, you're always dealing with humans and human dynamics, but for now we're very clear on what the task is that's in front of us. We need to appoint a head coach, and then we'll cross those bridges when we come to them.
And just on the foreign coaches, would you rule out a foreign assistant coming into the group, or...?
Yeah, and again, we're focused on the head coach right now. That's the immediate priority, and we're not looking beyond that right now.
How's the new search, or the search for the new CEO going?
Again, at risk of getting repetitive now, but we're here to talk about the All Blacks head coach today, and that's a separate process, and I don't want to speak to that.
David said that the discussion with the board about the foreign coach was going to happen before this process started. Did that happen, or?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So we haven't been sitting on our hands since the announcement. We've been working hard internally to finalise this process, to get necessary approvals in place, and so hence we're here today announcing where we stand and starting the process.
Are you confident you've got enough runway with Super Rugby starting in just a few weeks?
Yeah, we are. I mean, you never control the timing of these things, or very seldom. So we'll make the right appointment, and then we'll deal with any implications that arise from that in due course.
Just on that, given that it's kind of an unprecedented situation moving into a really, really challenging season, the All Blacks, will the new coach be given a bit more kind of leeway around Super Rugby? We've seen stuff in the past, moving players around, making requests for things to happen within Super Rugby. Are they going to be granted any more sort of extrajudicial powers?
Well, that's a very granular question, but what I will say is, again, we're really focused on getting this appointment right. Once we've made the appointment, then we'll come to all of those considerations.
Would you want the new coach to start right away, or would there be room to start later and maybe finish up club commitments first?
In a perfect world, they'd start immediately. In reality, we'll want a coach that is able to start as soon as is practical. And again, once we know who that is, we'll be able to work through that.
What's your pitch to coaches that maybe weren't happy with the process the last time played out to get them on board this time?
Look, again, we're getting into the space there where I really don't want to go. I think the role and the opportunity speaks for itself. We're confident that we're not going to have to go out and sell this role, that there will be people that will see the opportunity for what it is, and will be a good group of candidates in the mix.
Without naming names, do you have a sort of number of coaches you'd like to have shortlisted in mind?
No, not at this stage. When you look at the criteria for the role, you come to a pretty short list pretty quickly, and so then once we understand who in fact is putting their hand up for the role, we'll then determine what an appropriate shortlist is.
A couple of questions.
What's the state of the assistants' contracts? Are they all contracted through to the World Cup, or are they on 2-year deals? Can you offer any light on that?
No, sorry, Ollie, again, I can't. These are individual employment matters, and it's just not appropriate that I speak to them. Take it that's a direction, not a question. Yeah, nice. Thanks, Jamie. All right, thanks everyone.